A jealous coworker plants a hidden camera, hoping to expose someone, but catches something shocking instead. The fluorescent hum of the office felt heavier than usual that Monday morning. Behind the polite greetings and clinking coffee mugs, Alex Morton, a 32-year-old junior analyst with pale skin, short brown hair and a perpetually furrowed brow, harbored a quiet resentment. His navy blue shirt and worn black slacks fit too tightly, and his lips curled in irritation every time he glanced at Mia Torres, a 28-year-old project manager with warm olive skin, long black hair and a smile that seemed to win everyone over. For months, Alex had watched Mia charm clients, win praise from the boss, and glide through projects as though success was her birthright. He told himself it wasn't jealousy, just fairness that drove his thoughts. But fairness quickly became obsession. So when the chance came to discredit her, Alex acted. That morning, before the office filled, he placed a tiny wireless camera inside the break room's top cabinet, angled perfectly toward the table where Mia often sat during lunch. It was meant to be his smoking gun. Something to prove she wasn't as perfect as she pretended. But Alex didn't realize that his act of sabotage would soon uncover a truth he wasn't prepared to face. That evening, Alex sat in his cramped apartment, the glow of his laptop illuminating his tired face. He leaned back in his squeaky chair, his pale skin looking almost ghostly in the dim light as he connected to the hidden camera feed. The break room appeared on screen, still and silent after hours. He fast-forwarded through the day's recording, waiting for Mia's familiar figure to appear. Around noon she entered, olive skin glowing under the harsh lights, long black hair brushing against her crisp white blouse. She carried her usual salad, her warm smile flashing as she chatted briefly with a coworker. Alex narrowed his eyes. Nothing unusual, no misconduct, no slip-up. But just as she sat down, the feed caught something, someone else entering. A man Alex didn't recognize, tall with sandy hair and a dark suit. Mia's smile faded instantly. She glanced at the door as if checking it was closed, then leaned forward. They spoke in hushed tones, their body language tense. At one point, Mia slid a plain brown envelope across the table. Alex's breath caught. His plan had just found a new unexpected path. Alex couldn't sleep that night. His mind replayed the moment Mia handed over the envelope. Why would she do that? Was it money, documents, something illegal? The thrill of possible scandal consumed him. The next morning, wearing the same wrinkled navy blue shirt as yesterday, Alex arrived early, his brown eyes darting around the nearly empty office. He avoided Mia's warm "good morning," muttering a vague reply as he made a beeline to the break room. He checked the camera position. It was still perfect. He wanted more. He needed to know the truth. So, he adjusted the settings for higher resolution and longer recording time. If Mia had secrets, he'd capture them in full detail. That afternoon, he avoided direct conversation. But every time Mia walked by, her olive skin glowing in the sunlight streaming through the windows, Alex felt a strange mix of excitement and dread. If he was right, he could finally take her down. If he was wrong, he'd just crossed a line he could never uncross. By the third day, Alex had hours of footage. Most of it was mundane. Coworkers making coffee, heating leftovers, idle chatter. But every afternoon around the same time, the tall, sandy-haired man appeared. Alex studied the recordings. The meetings were always brief, no more than 10 minutes, and each time Mia handed him something, a folder, a flash drive, another sealed envelope. And every time her expression was the same, serious, almost fearful. Alex began noting every detail, the time of day, the angle of her posture, the number of seconds between glances at the door. It wasn't just idle curiosity anymore. It was full-blown investigation, yet something in Mia's demeanor unsettled him. She wasn't smug or calculating as he expected. She looked trapped. That wasn't part of the story he wanted to tell. On Thursday, as Alex passed the hallway near the break room, he overheard voices, Mia's and the sandy-haired man's. He froze, straining to hear. "It's not safe here," Mia whispered, her voice trembling. "We don't have a choice," the man replied firmly. "Just one more handoff." Alex's heart pounded. He ducked into a nearby supply closet, waiting until their footsteps faded. His mind raced. This wasn't about petty office politics. Whatever Mia was involved in, it was dangerous. That night he watched the footage again, rewinding to catch every flicker of expression on her olive-toned face, every tense movement. For the first time, Alex felt a shiver of doubt. Friday came, and Alex's plan took an unexpected turn. Late in the afternoon, after most of the office had left, Mia entered the break room alone. Her long black hair hung loose, framing her anxious face. She paced, checking the door twice before sitting at the table. The man arrived 5 minutes later, looking tense. He placed a small black device no bigger than a pager on the table. Mia's eyes widened. She whispered something Alex couldn't hear, then slipped the device into her bag. As they stood to leave, the man glanced straight toward the hidden camera, straight at Alex. And then, without breaking eye contact with the lens, he reached into his coat and turned it off. Alex's blood ran cold. When Alex rushed home that evening, his pulse was still hammering from that last chilling moment. He opened his laptop, eager to see if the camera had somehow resumed recording. But the screen was black, the feed was gone, no connection, no stored files from that point onward. He stared at the void on the monitor, pale skin seeming almost sickly under the glow. His mind replayed the man's piercing gaze, the deliberate flick of his wrist, the way the screen had gone dark instantly. It wasn't a coincidence. By midnight, paranoia had set in. He checked his apartment's locks twice, pulled the curtains shut, and muted his phone. It wasn't just about Mia anymore. Whoever that man was, he had seen through Alex's plan, and now Alex had no control over what happened next. Saturday morning, Alex's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "Stop watching." The text froze him in place. His brown eyes scanned it again, searching for any hint of who had sent it. He typed back, fingers trembling. "Who is this?" No reply. Later, as Alex walked through the grocery store in his wrinkled gray hoodie, he felt watched. In the reflection of the freezer door, he thought he saw a tall figure in a dark coat a few aisles away. By the time he turned, the person was gone. His mind whirled. Was it the sandy-haired man? Was it Mia? Had they found out where he lived? The thrill of his initial scheme had been replaced by an icy, creeping dread that clung to his every step. On Monday, Alex returned to the office pretending nothing had happened. But when he reached his desk, a plain white envelope sat on top of his keyboard. No name, no stamp, just a single sheet of paper inside. "If you want answers, meet me in the old parking lot at 9:30 tonight. Come alone." The handwriting was sharp and deliberate. Alex's first thought was that it could be a trap. His second thought was that he wouldn't be able to resist going. That entire day, he avoided Mia's warm smiles and downcast glances, barely able to focus on work. By evening, wearing his navy blue jacket and trying to steady his breathing, he drove to the location, an abandoned section of asphalt on the far side of the industrial district. A single street lamp buzzed overhead, casting sickly yellow light onto the cracked pavement. The sandy-haired man stepped from the shadows, his dark coat blending into the night. "You shouldn't have been watching," he said, voice low but sharp. Alex tried to sound defiant, but his voice cracked. "Who are you? And what is she, Mia, hiding?" The man studied him for a moment, then said, "She's not hiding anything from the company. She's protecting it." The explanation spilled out in fragments. Stolen client data, a whistleblower within the company, dangerous people willing to pay to keep it buried. Mia was working with him, an investigator, to collect proof without tipping off the wrong people. Alex's stomach twisted. His plan to ruin her had made him an accidental witness to something far bigger and far riskier than petty rivalry. "You've already drawn too much attention," the man continued, stepping closer until Alex could see the sharp angles of his face under the dim light. "That camera you planted, it's been noticed by others. If they think you know more than you should, you'll become a target." Alex swallowed hard, his pale face glistening with cold sweat. The thought of Mia's tense expressions in the footage replayed in his mind. She wasn't smug, she was terrified, and now so was he. The man gave him one last order: delete everything. Forget what you saw. If you care about your own life, this conversation never happened. Then he stepped back into the shadows, disappearing as if he had never been there. Alex stood alone under the flickering street lamp, wondering if it was already too late to walk away. That night, Alex sat hunched over his laptop, the cursor blinking on his desktop folder labeled break room footage. His pale fingers hovered over the delete key, his brown eyes fixed on the files like they were ticking bombs. Deleting them would mean losing his leverage, his proof, but keeping them could get him killed. He thought of Mia's olive-toned face in those recordings, the way her smile disappeared each time the sandy-haired man entered. She wasn't an enemy anymore. She was part of something dangerous, and he had stumbled into it blind. Finally, Alex dragged the folder to the trash, but his hands trembled as he hit empty recycle bin. Even as the files vanished, a cold knot settled in his gut. He didn't believe for a second that deleting them erased the threat. The next morning, Alex walked into the office wearing the same wrinkled navy shirt, trying to look casual. Mia greeted him with a warm but weary smile. "Rough weekend?" she asked. He nodded but said nothing, keeping his eyes on his desk. But later, in the elevator, a stranger stepped in. Tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a black cap pulled low. He stood too close, his presence heavy. Alex caught the faint scent of cigarette smoke, then saw the man's reflection in the chrome walls, eyes locked on him, unblinking. When the doors opened, the stranger didn't follow him out. Still, Alex's heartbeat wouldn't slow for the rest of the day. By Wednesday, Alex couldn't take the tension anymore. He approached Mia in the break room, her long black hair falling over the shoulder of her fitted cream sweater. She looked up, surprised, as he sat down across from her. "I know," he said quietly. "About him, about the meetings." Mia's olive-toned face paled slightly, and she glanced toward the door before leaning in. "Then you know you shouldn't talk about it here." Her voice trembled, not with guilt but with urgency. "If you care about making it out of this office alive, you'll stay out of it." "But," she paused, "if they've already noticed you, it might be too late to step back." Alex realized they were no longer enemies. They were both pawns in someone else's dangerous game. 2 days later, Alex arrived home to find a small cardboard box on his doorstep. No label, no note. Inside was a USB drive and a single playing card, the Queen of Spades. He plugged the drive into his laptop, his pale skin prickling with unease. The screen filled with grainy black and white footage. An alleyway at night. 2 men stood over a third who was on his knees begging. The video ended abruptly as one man stepped forward and the camera dropped to the ground. Alex yanked the drive out, his hands shaking. This wasn't just a warning, it was a message. Someone wanted him to know exactly how far they would go. That night, unable to sleep, Alex checked the break room in person. He ran his fingers along the top of the cabinets, the corners of the walls. Then, under the fluorescent light's faint buzz, he found it. A new hidden camera. Not his. It was angled toward the same table he had once recorded. Only this one was sleeker, better hidden, and, he realized with a chill, pointed slightly more toward the hallway, where anyone coming or going would be caught on tape, including him. Someone had replaced his tool of sabotage with their own. Only this time he wasn't the watcher, he was the one being watched. Alex barely slept, his mind trapped in a loop of fear and suspicion. Every creak in his apartment sounded like a footstep outside his door. Every shadow through the blinds looked like a figure waiting to strike. The next morning he walked into the office with his navy blue jacket zipped to his chin, scanning every face. Mia was there, leaning against the copier in her cream sweater, long black hair draped over her shoulder. She caught his eye for a brief moment, a flicker of silent understanding. But the air in the office felt wrong. Conversations stopped when he passed. A few coworkers gave him sidelong glances. He knew then that the new camera wasn't just there to watch Mia, it was part of a larger net tightening around them both. That afternoon, Mia slipped a folded note into Alex's hand without a word. In neat handwriting it read, "Rooftop, 6:15, don't be late." The sun was setting when Alex stepped onto the roof, the city stretching below in golden shadow. Mia was already there, her olive skin glowing faintly in the fading light. "They know about you," she said immediately. "I've been trying to keep you out of it, but," she shook her head. "The more you saw, the more dangerous it became." She handed him a small envelope. Inside was a single key and an address scribbled on a scrap of paper. "This is the only way to prove what's really happening here, but once you use it, there's no turning back." Alex left the office under a darkening sky, clutching the envelope in his jacket pocket. But halfway to his car, he noticed a black sedan parked at the far end of the lot. The driver's face was obscured, but the engine idled. As he walked faster, the sedan's headlights flared to life. The engine roared. Alex broke into a sprint, weaving through parked cars, the pounding of his heart louder than the tires screeching behind him. He ducked into a side alley, pressing himself against the cold brick wall, chest heaving. The sedan slowed at the corner, pausing before disappearing into the night. But Alex knew this wasn't over. Whoever was in that car would be back. Back in his apartment, Alex placed the key and address on his desk, his pale face reflected in the darkened laptop screen as he sat motionless. The hum of his fridge the only sound. The temptation to follow the address was overwhelming. The promise of answers burned in his mind. But then, from the corner of his eye, he noticed a small red light blinking faintly from the bookshelf. He froze. It was a camera, not his, not Mia's, and this time there would be no way to turn it off. Alex leaned back slowly, every muscle locked, knowing that somewhere someone was watching and waiting for him to make his next move. Alex sat frozen in his chair, the faint blink of the red light on the bookshelf pulling his gaze like a magnet. His pale skin felt clammy, his breath shallow. Slowly he turned toward it, his brown eyes locking on the tiny lens, knowing full well someone was on the other end. Without thinking, he stood and reached for the camera, but before his fingers touched it, his phone buzzed. A new text appeared from an unknown number. "Leave it. We just wanted to see your face when you realized." His hand dropped to his side. Across the room, his laptop screen lit up on its own. The feed from the hidden camera filled the display, showing him standing there watching himself. Then the video changed. Frame after frame, image after image, all from the break room footage he had deleted, except now there were angles he had never recorded. Him placing the first camera, him watching the files at home, him meeting the sandy-haired man in the parking lot. Mia's voice came faintly from the laptop speakers, though her lips weren't moving in the footage. "They've always been watching, Alex. You were never the one in control." The feed cut to black. In the silence, Alex realized the awful truth. He hadn't just stumbled into their game. He had been part of it from the very beginning, and now every move he made would be on their terms. Somewhere in the darkness of the city, someone pressed record. Subscribe for more chilling stories. You never know who's watching.